this is just ridiculous. You're sending such mixed messages.
Exactly.
What was the original one like? The thing with reissues, this is probably a video I should do on my own channel, not let you get the views, but I'm gonna give it up here. I'm gonna give this knowledge.
But I mean, that's not.
No, I get it.
How many
I get it.
turtles are there?
Sure, and you know what? Superpowers, this line probably would have survived better if they offered more Batman. But they just figured, oh, we did Batman.
Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's a little different. I was in Rhode Island filming with Bobby Vala of Valaverse. During a take, we had a discussion on superpowers, the McFarlane superpowers and the classic Kenner superpowers line. Ever since doing the superpowers toy line video with Bobby last month, it got me interested in superpowers. It was a line that I always kind of just skimmed over. And then seeing the McFarlane versions out now, not really something I paid attention to until he started talking about it, and it got me interested. So I went out and bought a couple of the McFarlane superpower figures, started noticing the difference, even bought a classic Kenner Batman superpowers to see more of the differences between the two, and then sat down with Bobby and talked to him about the figures, which you're going to see now. And he also gave a pretty interesting perspective on toy making and how the process works, and even talked a little bit about that with Playmates and what they did with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. So if you're a fan of DC Superpowers or the Superpowers toy line from McFarlane or Kenner, or you're a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you'd like to hear more on how that process is made and some of the reissues and what the differences are, you're gonna love this conversation. It's a really good one. I apologize for my audio in it. Again, I was recording him, so he was mic'd up. I just had a shotgun mic near me picking up my sound. It's not that bad, but there is a difference. So thanks for watching, and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts based on what we said below.
40 years of Turtles, Jesus. They've got to be using the old tools. There's no way they retooled this stuff, which is kind of crazy that Playmates... Yeah, oh, that's why, because Playmates owns their own factory. That's why they still have the tools. Duh. Yeah, they're I think they're one of two toy companies that own their own factory.
Okay, before we get into this, these are like the card backs on these. And I think the painting is kind of better on the new ones.
Well, yeah, they're always going to look better, new stuff, because, you know, new stuff. Oh, so we're filming like this. Like, oh, like, got it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure how we were doing.
You're not the...
I thought we were sitting next to each other with the camera on us.
I thought you were like, well, I'm not the full star of this.
I'm kind of bummed this isn't going to go on my channel.
Okay, so I did get one of your crappy ones.
Are we filming now?
Yeah.
All right.
Why?
Well, because I wanted to make sure if you're going to start shitting on superpowers, you better like back it up.
I did not care about superpowers.
This is years of play, man. This figure went through play. Like this was a kid's imagination for years. Whereas this is like, oh, I took it out of the package. Oh, like
fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, so I didn't care about any of these until that video. And now they're remaking them.
See.
But like, what do you hate? So I get like some pretty obvious things. Like, I'm sure you hate this.
Listen, I'd almost rather them do figures that were never done rather than redo figures that were done. Like, that's why like I had such a problem with the Star Wars retro collection. It's like, dude, we all have those figures. Don't do them. Do either the last 17 that were hard to get, or do figures that Grand Moff Tarkin, like, yes, they did him, but do more like that. Like, you should have given us a whole bunch of figures that never got done. So this, I can appreciate much more because this falls in line. Like, to me, like, I look at this looks like a Superpowers figure. Like, he looks like he should belong in the line. Whereas I look at him, and I'm like,
but that's actually, this is their comp to that.
Yeah.
Which is completely different, kind of.
He's not packaged with the cape on?
Yeah, I thought that was weird. Neither is Superman.
Look at that busted up face.
But then they did package, like the new one, he's packaged with the cape on.
Yeah, and then like look, so look at how nice that cape fits on his neck and drapes down.
And that's, I will say that's terrible.
That's dog.
There's a guy out of California making custom capes.
There's guys making really good custom like superpower shit. Because the capes are like hard to, because the capes get beat up, you know, so like finding
this cape is much nicer than this one feels.
Yeah, and see how it's like, not double layered, but see how it folds over, whereas that's just like one layer.
Yeah. So why do you think they...
You can do this. See, look, you can do that. Look how. Oh.
Yeah, but also, like I said off camera, this looks like Christian Bale Batman. That looks like Cillian Murphy, Brad Pitt from Fight Club Batman.
Yeah, he's cut. Like, so what? He's cut like the way the artist drew.
Like,
but look at the way the artist drew them back then. Like, they were cut. They were cut superheroes. You know, this is like, okay, so the funny thing is, so for this superpowers, these are both series 1. All right. This is where McFarlane just, I don't understand. So you take vintage art and use it for a vintage throwback figure. But then you take modern Jim Lee art and put it on this figure. Like, the messaging is so mixed up. It's so mixed up. Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking a new 52 looking Flash? And I get it, but it's like you took new 52 art, but he's like vintage
is
Flash.
There like any like copyright issues that they've
There's no, DC owns it all. But it's just like, there's no reason. Like, this is just ridiculous. You're sending such mixed messages.
Exactly. What was the original one like?
The original one was Batman. Like, he was Batman, but he had art like that.
Batman?
No, like 1980s Jose Luis Garcia art. Let's see.
And also, I can't figure out why they did this.
Yeah, I don't understand. All this I don't understand. All of it.
And then this is in Spanish. This is in Spanish. Yeah, the first wave is all in
Well,
Spanish.
yeah, that's you know, 4 language and stuff. Let's find a vintage superpower. Here we go. See, man, look at that vintage artwork. See?
Yeah.
Vintage artwork. It matches. Yeah. Not some Jim Lee modern stuff. Like, and I get it. They're trying to say, okay, well, it's the dark blue with the dark gray. So just Photoshop the old art. You could tweak the colors. You know, mess with the saturation and the hues. You don't have to just take artwork that just doesn't match the line look. I don't understand. The line baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. I've said this before about some of, like when you're trying to do retro stuff. Back then, this is how they knew how to make figures. So this was modern to them. When you try to go back and replicate this look, it never looks right. It always looks soft and weird, like his face looks soft and weird, the details. Same thing with the Indiana Jones retro line that they did. You look at them compared to the Kenner figures, it's night and day. And it's like you're trying to recreate this. Same thing with the Star Wars stuff. You're trying to recreate something that was modern at the time, and you're trying to like go back and make a toy with limited resources, and it just doesn't look right. Like it's something off. I see it. It shouldn't matter to a lot of people, but it matters to me, you know? But, so the interesting thing is, so see how he's got pins in his joints here? The superpower figures were made with a 2-part ABS thigh and a PVC lower. That means that you could sandwich the leg in between and it's pinless. So it's kind of funny that back then they had pinless. McFarlane's
well, you were talking about that today in the video we shot of how McFarlane still sticks with. Why do you think he sticks with pins? It's kind of like one thing that baffles me like crazy. Do you think it's for? Oh, do you still want Batman?
That's your Batman.
Is this why? Is it for durability's sake? Like he knows the pins will always hold.
The pins hold no matter what. Like, so the only thing that's different is, so this is just, so it's basically they take one part of leg, sandwich it, and then insert a pin through. Whereas pinless is you're taking this part and this part, and you're putting it in the mold at the same time and injecting the plastic into it. So it's double injection molding plastic, whereas you're not physically putting a separate part into it. It's the lower has the pin built into it, and then the thigh just molds around it. So it sandwiches it. That's the difference. The reason this happens is because you have multiple, so that if you notice, it's not the knee that's loose, it's the hips. And the reason is that because of the power function.
Oh,
that's the reason why
things
get loose. The arms get loose because of the power function. You have springs
he
and
doesn't have that.
all sorts of different, yeah. So there's all sorts of, like, and if you look at like Flash, you know, oh yeah, he had the running, but there was a figure like, yeah, Hawkman had it. There's one figure that doesn't have it, but you know, yes, they got loose, but they got loose because of the power feature. They didn't get loose because of just joints.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, are these all new?
Those are all new.
Is even this? Does this one look similar to another one you've got up there? Judo Master?
No.
No.
They never did those ones.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they went deep, but
And
they
then-
didn't go
like,
like,
you know, like
this
these are the new Batman and Superman that just came out.
yeah. See, I'm looking like McFarlane loves doing Batman figures because I'm looking at like all the figures they put out. It's like, I'm going to count how many Batmans. 1, 2,
Oh, it's a lot.
3,
It's a lot.
4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 33.
But I mean, that's not.
No, I get it.
How many
I get it.
turtles are there?
Sure. And you know what? Superpowers, this line probably would have survived better if they offered more Batman, you know? But they just figured, oh, we did Batman. Like, Batman was in Series 1. Like, we only need one Batman. I mean, they carry forward him because Superpowers were on cards like this, and then later on they did them on slim cards. I believe that was in Canada, but still, they still offered him a bunch, like they kept offering Darth Vader.
I mean, we can keep this off camera, but that's one complaint that you get.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But-
no, I get it. But you got to think, like, this is... Collecting is, for collectors, is different. We can totally keep this in, because it's a good point. Collectors, it's different. Like, you're talking whereas, like, the collecting community buying, like, Action Force or Classified is this big. When they were doing these for kids, the pool was this big.
Mm-hmm.
It's way different. So it's like you want to keep carrying forward stuff or reissuing stuff like Darth Vader's and Luke Skywalker's and Batman and Superman because your pool is ginormous. Whereas, yeah, it's like, yes, do I get around to reissuing figures? Yeah, not all of them. But also it's like, you're trying to do new stuff. You're trying to do newness, you know? Not newness always doesn't equate to like survival of a line. But also, they're doing Batman with history and longevity. I'm doing an Action Force line that is still just growing. So it's not,
Right.
you know.
But then the double-edged sword is if you reissue anything, you get into like this situation where it's like it's not the original, it's a reissue, and therefore fake or whatever.
And so the interesting thing about these is where I'm so torn on this whole Turtles Playmates reissue thing because it's fascinating. I find it fascinating because I've been wanting to collect Turtles, but a lot of it's hard to get and expensive, and also it's a deep line. But then I started seeing like, wait a minute, Playmates is just reissuing stuff, and it's like, how do you know what's authentic and what's not? Because the crazy thing is, Playmates is one of the only toy companies that owns its own factory. The reason that's important is because you get like Hasbro, Mattel, they have other factories doing their stuff, so they're storing all this steel and the mold tools. Eventually, like they're running out of space, so the factories reach out to Hasbro and say, hey, we need to make some room. We need to get rid of some of these old tools. Here's a list of tools. Do you want to keep any of these? And the engineers would review the design to me, hey, do you want to keep any of these, blah, blah, blah. That's how tools got lost and got destroyed, all the vintage G.I. Joe tools and stuff like that. They joke that they're in the bottom of the Hong Kong harbor. But because Playmates owns its own factory, they don't need to clear space out. They can just keep their stuff. So they look at it as like, oh, we'll just produce another one. Now, the thing with reissues, this is probably a video I should do on my own channel, not let you get the views, but I'm gonna give it up here. I'm gonna give this knowledge. Make sure you guys tune into the Valaverse YouTube channel. So this figure was made off of the original tool. Now, yes, it wasn't made at the same time, and it wasn't made with the same batch of plastic. However, even the original version wasn't made at the same time with the same batch of plastic. For instance, say this figure here was a run of 30,000 pieces. They didn't buy enough for 30,000 pieces. They didn't buy enough plastic. They had batches of plastic that you get from the plastic manufacturer. Come in big bags of beads, and you melt it down, you inject it in. So what causes something to be authentic? The date it was produced? Okay, because this was made off the same original mold as the original. Plastic is plastic, whether it was used on day 1 or day 365. Plastic is plastic. But this plastic is used 40 years later. You know, yes, they probably had to make new spray masks for the deco because those are aluminum, they don't survive. But this is the original mold. To me, that's authentic because it's the mold. You know, so like, you know, there's the anti-repro and the repro people, like they fight, they're always at odds with each other. But it's like, what makes something authentic? To me, it's not necessarily the date, because Star Wars, when Kenner was doing Star Wars, they had 4 different factories doing stormtroopers. So if you have a stormtrooper that says Hong Kong, or one that says China, or one that says Taiwan, like, they're different factories using different plastic, running the molds at different times, selling at different regions. Now, also, I can have one stormtrooper over here that was used on a mold from Taiwan. I can have a stormtrooper over here that was used on a mold from Hong Kong. What makes it authentic? Oh, because it's just the time frame? So I think there's no guidelines for collecting. If something is authentic because it's, oh, well, this is a reissue. Okay, well, what makes it a reissue? Just because of the date? Okay. Then that should be the guideline for collecting, is this is a reissue. But to me, this should be authentic. It's on the original mold. Same thing with this, original mold.
Yeah.
It's authentic figure.
Just because I want to know, like, this, if you open this guy, yeah, it's the original mold, but like, it'll say. I'm
sure they changed the copyright date.
So they just have a stamp that does that at the end.
Yeah.
It's not part of the mold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's etched onto it. Same thing with the Star Wars. It's not. So if you look at like my stands, my Action Force stands, the date changes each year, but the stand mold is the same.
So where does that happen in the process?
I'm trying to remember where that happens. They might fill it, like the ones that are raised. I believe they might fill it. So I don't know. I don't know 100% that actual like way things are done. But that, again, it's like, it's a date. Well, again, it's like that Stormtrooper. There was a Stormtrooper that was done in 77, one that was done in 80, one that's done in 84. So it's like,
right.
What makes it, you know, and I just think that there's too big of factors in collecting. And, you know, I think like, you know, that's why I think about these and I'm like, I should get into these because to me, they're authentic. They're done off the original molds, you know?
I got one question. This could be a different video. We want to keep this in or whatever. But I've talked to a lot of guys that have the clay molds of all the turtles. I've interviewed those for the documentary I'm doing.
Yep.
And they talk about like and you can see it in the videos, like the detail off the clay mold or whatever, this clay sculpt or the plastic or the original ceramic, whatever. And then when you go and you make the mold off that and it comes out, it's
the detail softer.
Is there like that with yours too?
Undercuts. So the way so molding works is it's basically a 2-part unless you have slides. But back then, basic stuff was just 2-part molds, so top to bottom. But if you have rounded detail that goes under, the metal can't get under and then release that part because then it would hit the part. So you can't have something that goes under, you have to taper it down. So that's why I saw that clip that the guy was talking about, like look at all the detail in the chest for the Samurai Leo. Because a lot of that is probably undercuts. The factory is probably just filling in a lot of those to make the mold pull easier. Because the last thing you want is for parts that get stuck in a mold, because when a part gets stuck in the mold, then that stops the process. The person has to pull it out. You could damage the part, you could damage the mold, but also it takes time in the production run. If you have to stop on the assembly line every time and pull a torso out, because it's not just releasing, that cuts down the amount of torsos you're doing per day. So that's how that happens.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now you know.
Now I know. Knowing is...
Stop it.
Stop it. All right.
It's almost as if I kind of know what I'm doing over here.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Look, you couldn't even put... The original ones was like perforated edge, like, oh, cut and save. It's like, come on, just put the dotted line. Make me feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah, but he knows that no one does that anymore. Everybody's buying these to keep them exactly.
Are they? Because people were buying mine and cutting the cards out. But I also make stands that accept the cards.
Oh, do you?
I do. My stands have a slot in the back so that when you display the figure, he displays with a file card.
Does anybody else do that?
No one does that. That was actually a fan said that we should do that. That was a fan feedback thing. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea.
That's cool. What do you know?
What do you know? But see, even something as basic as a stand, like we do multiple pegs on our stand, so you could change the stances.
Yeah,
like
I noticed that.
It's that sort of level of stuff. Like just because you're making a stand doesn't mean it has to be basic. Like to me, I put 100% into every part because it has to have function and be cool, but also it separates you from everyone else.
I love the turtles, but they are the worst standing figure. No, worst standing figure is He-Man. All time He-Man.
Because of their rubbery legs.
Yeah,
the rubber
turtles
legs
are so bad. This guy is bad. The soccer Raph one, because he's got the kicking action.
Oh yeah, I see him.
He does not stand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like you were trying to make them dynamic, but it's always better to put their feet flat. Yeah. Secret Wars did that. Spider-Man, he's like standing on one toe and he falls over. Like he doesn't stand. And they don't have any holes in their feet. I don't think Turtles ever did. Oh yeah, they did.
They got holes. But they don't come with a stand.
They don't.
That's for vehicle placement.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, original mold, man. Like it's
so good.
And that's the genius of Playmates. Like we were talking about in the Exo Squad video. Like
that's annoying. People complain about.
Yeah, what's that?
Inside.
Oh, that is inside.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know.
What is that? That's like a thing.
It's for a target to put them in the right place.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Ew.
Because where does it say TMNT? Oh, well, that's crazy. What does yours say?
What?
On the side.
TMNT, TD, Toss, and Leo. TD, Toss, and Don. He's not TD, Toss, and Don. Hey. Hey. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
How many of these have they done?
Reissues?
Yeah. How many figures were in the original line? Like 300 or 400?
Like 380, 378.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to think of my shelves. I've got them lined up.
You have all the reissues?
Yeah. Except for the two others from this line. Okay. Probably.
Was it done 30? A quarter? Okay, so
30 or 40?
Oh, not even a quarter.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I've gotten through the main crew of good and bad. Yeah. And then they've done like Mondo and. But they haven't put out. They did
Wingnut and Screw Loose, which is a great figure. Great figure.
Yeah.
And did they do Pizza Face?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
See, now I've heard that there's like a fire. There was like a Playmates fire.
Oh, so
because they put out the sewer tossing, where they have the thing and they shoot pizzas out.
Pizza tosser.
They put out. They didn't put out Don. They put out the other three, but no Don. And I think he was lost in the fire.
Oh, interesting.
I think there's a lot of stuff like that where like they may not have Pizza Face, but Pizza Face was like weird.
He was early on. Yeah, he was weird in general. But I'm trying to think of like ones that.
But they put out like, so that's what I'm saying is like they've gone pretty deep where they've got the TV toss. I mean the pizza tossing ones. They've They did both auto mutations, the Night Ninja auto mutations and the regular auto mutations.
Okay.
And they did the storage shells again. They haven't done the wacky action.
Did they do the variant belt on the storage shells? Slackers.
Actually, no, that's not true. I lied. They did do it. They made them all black belts.
Which the black were the variants, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
But
right.
I don't like them. I like it when they're bad. I thought it was cool.
The
that
color,
they had
yeah.
the colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've gone
Um,
deeper than they've ever gone doing, because they've done the reissue like at 25, 30, and now they're doing it again at 40. But the card backs are way better
That's
this
what
time.
they're doing. They're doing anniversaries.
Okay.
And now they're even like, so like if you were to get, because of this year, if you were to go get like another reissue of the reissue from 2 years ago, it's going to have this 40th sticker on it. So
Oh,
now
okay.
it's a variant because
Got
it's
it.
got the 40th sticker on it.
Got
It's
it.
nuts.
See, I'm like, because there were figures that, who's the big King Cobra guy with the coiled tail?
Oh,
Cobra Khan.
yeah.
Like, he was hard to get. And it's like, obviously, the giraffe and Scratch. Like, I'm like, do they have
Yeah.
those tools? Because if they were smart, they would put those out.
Yeah.
You know, really mess with
I wonder
collectors
how
a
much
bit.
it would drop Scratch if they did that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then people could just get one to put in their collection.
Mhm.
You know? That's why I said, like, Star Wars should have, like, the retro should have started with, like, the last 17. Like, just put those out because those are the hardest ones to get. Everyone else, they made millions of, or hundreds of thousands of Star Wars figures. So to do the last 17, like, those figures are hundreds of dollars each. Put those out. You know, don't give me Luke again and Vader. Who cares? We all have them.
Give me Young
know?
face.
Yeah, same thing with these. Like, give me Scratch. I mean, if anything, you know, even if they don't have the tools anymore, they're playmates. You can tool whatever you want. Get a Scratch figure, scan it, retool it, and just make a Scratch figure again. Like, that'd be awesome. Interesting. You know?
You have the resources to do that.
I have the resources?
Can't you do that?
Well, I could, but it's copyright infringement.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you just remove yourself from it.
Maybe.